What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1026 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Easter. We are back from Easter weekend. He is risen. I am at the top of my game right now because I'm back on the 6 milli upper decky lip pillows. So it's about to be a go-off moment for the next 2 hours, I think.
That's a beautiful thing right there.
How do we feel?
Back to normal. Well, okay, so here's what I was saying. So your internet is running like high on the kilobytes today. So I am once again intercession maxing and trying to, kind of speak into existence no major tech issues today. Like if your mic wants to do the thing your mic does every once in a while and cut out, that's fine. But none of this, like, getting kicked out of the room, 12 minutes to log back in BS that happens sometimes.
My microphone is a temperamental bitch sometimes, but that's easily fixable. Mm-hmm. We're just going to hope that nothing goes wrong.
That's what we're going to hope for. We got a 20 there. We got one from Shane H. Wilder.
Yes, we do. From Shane H. Wilder. Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. I hope y'all had a great Easter. I saw Project Hail Mary, delivered food to St. Vincent's, went to the Easter Vigil and Easter morning masses, took 5 pages of homily notes, and a Japanese steakhouse. That sounds all incredible, especially the Japanese steakhouse. I ate so much food over the weekend.
Yeah, do you want to tell everybody? Do you want to tell everybody about being bruised from eating?
Yeah, I don't know if this is just me, guys. Like, I don't know. I have a weird body. Like after I eat more than usual, like the next day I can like feel like pain all over my body. Is that like normal? I don't know. Like I look at what I'm doing right now. When I just like touch my skin right now, like it feels like my entire body is bruised. It doesn't hurt when I'm not touching it. It's just like it literally feels like my entire body has been like slightly bruised. Don't know if that's a sign of some deeper medical problem, but any doctors in the chat want to weigh in, let me know if I have terminal illness or something.
They'll have to let you know.
I feel fine though, and I ate a ton of food and feasted as we are obliged to do in this liturgical season. I also wore white yesterday, which is rare for me, but it felt appropriate for the day.
I've never felt bruised from eating ever, but I do like if I
I think that might just be like a small woman thing.
Must be.
Yeah.
The only thing that happens is like if I eat more than I normally do at the end of the day, I definitely feel like I've expanded until the next day. But that's not the same thing as waking up like, oh my God, all that food kicked my ass.
I was fasting like pretty hard on Friday and Saturday. So I think that I deserved that. That was a moment where I was like in the middle of eating cake and ice cream and candy, and I was like, I earned this.
You earned this. There you go.
Yeah.
Guys, hit the like button on this episode, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. As always, please and thank you. Remember to share the episode out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people in your life that you both love and hate. The more people that you share the show with, the faster this channel can grow. It's the best way to help us out is to subscribe, watch the videos, like the videos. The more likes we get on everything, it tells the algorithm that they want you to see this content, and we're trying to fight our way back into the algorithm after that week and a half that we missed on the show. So thank you guys so much for that. What are we getting into today? We have a bunch of stuff to talk about. We are going to talk about a major accident that happened on the set of a new Daily Wire movie. See what I did there? No. Jonathan Majors fell through a window on the set of his new Daily Wire movie, and it got kind of like one of those things where you could tell the media was happy to pounce all over this situation. Yeah. They were very happy to start talking shit, as they always are, about anything to do with conservative media. So we'll get into that whole hullabaloo. We are also going to talk about the fascination that people have with child star trauma and how they have started to kind of apply it everywhere, even where perhaps none has actually been proven, and it's become a scapegoat of sorts in the industry because there are so many very real examples of children being harmed in Hollywood, but it's kind of being broadly applied where it may not actually fit sometimes. So we'll get into it. Also, are you and your spouse, you and your partner, you and your significant other in a restaurant gap relationship?
Because if so, it could mean the end of your romance.
This is the topic
very
for you.
serious. This is beyond age gaps, swag gaps, wealth gaps. The restaurant gap is what's really going to be a deal breaker for your relationship. So we'll get into that later.
All right, before we get started though, guys, I do want to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Rumble Wallet. You already know why people are moving to crypto, but here is the problem. Most wallets still plug into the same system we were trying to escape in the first place. That is why Rumble built Rumble Wallet. It is a self-custodial wallet that lives inside an ecosystem that actually defends free speech and financial freedom. No bank holding your balance. Not even Rumble can touch your funds. This is your money on your keys on your terms. If you're already using Bitcoin or stable coins, Rumble Wallet gives you even more power. Direct, fast tipping, and support for creators right on Rumble without waiting weeks for payouts or dealing with random account holds. On-chain payments in assets like Bitcoin, Tether Gold, and USAT, so you can move your value globally without asking anyone for permission. Most wallets stop at storage. Rumble Wallet connects your money to a marketplace of ideas that refuses to cave to censorship. If you are serious about sovereignty, financial and digital, this is where you level up. Go to wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the App Store. Download it, back up your recovery phrase, and move your money where it belongs, in your hands. Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. See terms at wallet.rumble.com. And thank you again to Rumble Wallet for sponsoring today's episode. All right, if you are ready now, Mary, we can get started. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it then.
So we just came out on the other side of A24's The Drama's opening weekend, and the global tally is $28 million on a budget of $28 million, which to the laity sounds like breaking even, but not quite. It's on a good trajectory, though, if they make sure not to trigger Gen Z with the dark plot twist in this so-called rom-com. Mm-hmm. And the storyline is something that we spoiled the other week when we were originally talking about this. It's not much of a spoiler anymore. Yeah. It leaked from test screenings a long time ago, so people have been discoursing about it. And I guess I'll just add that as a disclaimer in case anyone here is anticipating this movie and doesn't want to know the twist. I'm about to say it.
Skip ahead.
Just mute or something. So this dramatic twist in the movie shows Zendaya and Robert Pattinson as they are approaching the date of their wedding. And together with friends, they all reveal the worst thing they've ever done. And Zendaya's character drunkenly admits that as a teenager, she plotted a school shooting and did not end up going through with it. And then you see their relationship start to unravel as Robert Pattinson deals with his doubts about marrying her, having not known this about her character and her past. So that's the big twist. Everyone is losing their minds about it, but I think it's such a non-controversy. And the big question, I think, on like marketing experts' minds is like, will this plot line be tolerated by the Gen Z target audience who tend to really come out in droves for A24 movies? And they have a lot of faith in A24 as a studio.
Wait, is that true? I always imagined A24's audience was millennials.
There are a lot of millennials, but I think when it comes to getting Gen Z in theaters, they do actually show faith in original screenplays from A24 specifically. And this is more star power than most A24 movies have had in the past. With Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, it also happens to be a happy coincidence that they're in 3 movies together this year, when you include The Odyssey and what was the other one? Dune Part 3.
Tom Holland's so pressed right now.
On top of that, Zendaya's real life engagement and wedding took place this year, and the discourse about her real wedding is kind of blending with the interest in this movie and the fictional wedding. It's kind of the perfect promo shitstorm. And then once the plot line leaked, there was an interview in TMZ with the father of a victim of the Columbine massacre, denouncing A24 and the movie for humanizing school shooters, which, on that note, now that I think about the wording of what he said, I'm like, is it wrong to humanize humans who do bad things? Like, I don't know. It's not really sympathetic to the... It's not sympathetic to Zendaya's character.
Having a sympathetic outlook on something that a bad person did is not the same thing as showing the reality of who they were as a person, which inevitably will be humanizing them, because very rarely are people inherently just monsters. Especially if you want to go back to the world of, you know, those the school shootings of the early 2000s, when a lot of it was kids who came from homes that were falling apart, whether it was, you know, divorcing parents or whatever it was. There was a stretch of nihilism in that time period amongst the youth. It's really funny. I was trying to talk to somebody about this not that long ago. In the original soundtrack for the very first Scream movie, which came out, I believe, in '96, but I don't quote me on that. It was either '95 or '96. There's a song called "Youth of America" by a group called Bird Brain, which is unbelievably kind of nihilistic about the state of the kids. And we're talking like the 90s. So it's like, it's kind of it's omnipresent, right? That take that the kids are screwed has been there forever. So humanizing them, even the ones who do awful things, is going to be a natural response from artists who seek to kind of go into dark corners and tell stories about things that have happened.
Yeah, most of the responses to that father of the Columbine victim were the same. Basically, that just because this tragic thing happened to you and your family doesn't mean that you create the rules for what stories can be told. And it was obviously from a place of personal pain and trauma in his family that most people can't relate to. It also doesn't mean that you're the you know, the art police is what people said. And there is an argument to be made for humanizing people that do horrific things, or in this case, I guess, planned something horrific and didn't go through with it. That's the entire reason why, you know, people refer to the SS as ordinary men, like that we all are capable of atrocities, and it is human to be morally culpable for those things. So I don't really agree with the premise of his argument, but it was apparently just compounded with this post from the organization March for Our Lives, if you guys remember that, from Parkland. They posted this statement on Instagram denouncing A24 for misleading audiences in the way that they have marketed this movie, which prompted Variety to write this piece saying, A24's marketing campaign for the drama went to great lengths to conceal the movie's polarizing premise. Was it misleading or a marketing masterclass? March for Our Lives said, the film may be attempting to engage real questions about accountability and change, but A24's marketing does not meet it there. With a subject this serious, especially in the US, that conversation cannot begin and end on screen. It has to carry through in how the film is presented. We understand that art can provoke discomfort and use humor to approach difficult subjects, but when something like a school shooting is treated lightly or played for irony, it raises a deeper question. What kind of conversation is this meant to start? The filmmakers and actors have said this film will spark conversation. We hope it does, but on a topic that touches so many American lives, there is a responsibility to help shape that conversation in a productive direction, not just provoke it. That expectation only grows when the artists involved have this level of cultural influence. The way this film has been marketed is deeply misaligned with the reality it engages. We expect better from A24 and the artists behind it. And the main gripe is that they feel this movie has been marketed as a rom-com and nothing more. But I think that is totally disingenuous and not giving enough credit to the way that they have marketed the movie at all. For one, they've been incredibly clever with using Zendaya's recent interview and red carpet appearances to market the movie. She's been working with her stylist, Law Roach, to do this thing called method dressing, which I guess you could say is a form of method acting in her fashion. She's been using the something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue phrase to inspire her outfits in recent appearances at premieres. And as the promotional tour has gone on, they are striking a more dark tone, where at the beginning you would have assumed it was just a normal rom-com. Now it's very clear that there is a dark twist in it. There's no mystery about that. They've just been trying to keep it on the low what that dark twist is, although the leak didn't help with keeping it under wraps. And then you see this descent into madness as well with the different movie posters they've been releasing. The first one that they released was just a photo of Zendaya and Robert Pattinson laughing together as a couple. It didn't seem dark at all. But then in the most recent poster that they released, it was Robert Pattinson bloodied and bruised next to Zendaya, who looks annoyed at him. Again, where is the like rom-com marketing in that? Like, I just feel like they're being disingenuous in saying that this is going to trick people and bait and switch them when all they wanted was a rom-com, and then they saw this and it traumatized them.
Avant-garde marketing, maybe.
I mean, it's just like, where is the lie? Where is the misleading? Are we really that like illiterate? Are we like media illiterate to the point where you see the poster of Robert Pattinson looking like he just got punched in the face and you think it's a rom-com? But like, what are we doing here, folks?
Yeah.
And I think they're also not giving Gen Z enough credit for approaching the story as it really is, because they're saying like, oh, well, they might go in and think that it's a rom-com and then they're going to be triggered because Gen Z has gone through school shootings their entire lives and it's like this personal thing for them. Obviously that's not something that the majority of Gen Z has experienced by far. At the end they say that this is I think the gamble is presenting this generation that has grown up with school shootings with having their beloved be the one who was plotting something out. I'm curious to see how many students RSVP. Like, why are they talking about Gen Z like they're these like whinging little babies who have like, we're talking about people who are turning 30.
They're
like homeowners and like are often married themselves.
These
like
things
it's
are
not
being written by millennials, these think pieces. Millennials and Gen Xers are writing these think pieces about Gen Z.
Right. And they're kind of speaking for them before they have a chance to evaluate the movie themselves. One of the critics that reviewed the movie actually broke the embargo because he felt it was his moral responsibility to announce the plot twist to the public so that they don't get traumatized by it.
That's just wait, there was who did this? The director?
It was one of the critics that was given an early screening.
That is a level of self-importance that's unbelievably shocking, actually.
Like, I have to do this. This is my moral duty to the public as a movie critic.
Like, how sheltered of a life must that guy have been living, or woman, whatever it was.
Another critic wrote this piece titled, "The drama is an unforgivable misstep from A24." And they say, the studio owes an apology to those of us who walked into the drama not knowing about Emma's past. When I was in middle school, I learned that there was a shooting at the high school my cousins attended. Had they gone in one direction instead of the other, they likely would have been killed or injured. School shootings happen frequently enough in America that the studio should have known better than to keep this a spoiler. It's the primary reason I'm publishing my review after the release. I'm not holding back. I owe a responsibility to my readers to alert them to this particular plot line.
It's actually not.
I'm not about to let A24 off the hook for not including a crucial piece of information in its marketing, let alone the fact that they did not alert the press about it prior to release. Knowing what was going to happen would have been appreciated, so I didn't feel like I was sucker punched barely over a half hour into the film. PTSD is a very real thing. I wouldn't be surprised to learn how many Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, or Alana Haim fans bought tickets only to discover what the film is really about. I personally should have walked out of the film the moment it lost me, because once it did, there was no going back.
Television shows. So television shows when they would cover stuff like this, the only time that they would make like a preemptive message would be as if an event in real life happened close to its release that forced it to either be pushed back or be given some type of disclaimer. Like if there was a school shooting close to an episode of a TV show that featured something like a school shooting, like a police procedural, they would have one of the stars do a preemptive, like, the events of this episode were written before this happened, blah, 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 as some type of studio note on empathy. This is a bit ridiculous when it's not tied to one specific event, but rather a series of events over human history, or I guess over American history.
Also, it's like, even by the critics' own admission, it was like not your school, it was your cousin's school, and they weren't like shot, they weren't killed or injured, and somehow you're still the victim, and you're standing up for like America's children by breaking the embargo. Like, shut up, you're not that important. I don't know. I think this is really not giving Gen Z enough credit for their ability to engage with media. Like, I know that they don't have a great reputation for a reason, but like, this is a lot of projection from people who are not of Gen Z, saying that Gen Z can't handle this movie, and it's only been one weekend. Like, let's wait and see the reaction before we start posting stuff like this. This is ridiculous.
All right. Before we move on, we have a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, a critic breaking an embargo to show some moral authority? Please.
Has that happened before?
I don't know.
Scenarios like this?
That's a very good question. Somebody should look into that, see if this has happened before.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on.
So, of course, the new season of Euphoria is coming out, and people are talking about the graphic sexuality that this show is known for, including Sharon Stone, who in the show plays Sydney Sweeney's character's mother, that is Cassie's mother. And it's, according to Variety, regarded as one of the raciest shows on TV. Maybe back in 2019 that was true, but honestly, you turn on any streaming show now, especially HBO, and literally all of it is just chock full of porn. So this is what has been expected from Euphoria, and specifically Sam Levinson, for quite a while now. And Sharon Stone recently did an interview where she expressed some misgivings about the graphic sex scenes and nudity that are featured in the show and most shows now, saying that it's too blatant and harsh on screen. She says she now turns off sex scenes when they happen because they no longer leave anything to the imagination. She said about her infamous nude scene in Basic Instinct, it wasn't even an entire frame of film, and so people were desperately trying to figure it out. And this hope, this wonder, this mystery, this intrigue, this yearning is something that is what all of our profound sexuality is based in. So often now when sex scenes come on TV, I fast forward. I don't want to see it. I don't want to have to go through all of this blatant, harsh sexuality. For me, it steals from my own imagination. And I prefer my yearning, mystery, and desire. I want to keep that alive inside myself. So I don't know about all of that, you know, creative writing that she was doing there about mystery and desire and intrigue or whatever. But most people feel this way. Most people feel uncomfortable when they just want to be entertained by a show or a movie and are just absolutely blasted with pornographic levels of sexuality in them. And they do, especially if they're in a group of friends or family, want to fast forward and just skip the entire thing, but they continue pushing this on the public.
I feel the same way about violence. I think that your mind can comprehend far more awful things that a person could do to another than the goriest things that they show on camera. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't have a problem with gratuitous violence if it comes up and I wasn't expecting it. Like, it's not something that I find grotesque or objectionable, but I actually do think that if the point is to scare somebody, then excellently paced tension oftentimes ends up being far more effective than blood squibs and prosthetic fake body parts getting cut off.
Have you seen Passion of the Christ?
I have not.
It came out in 2004.
Yeah.
And I watched it on Good Friday, actually, just because, you know, it felt appropriate for the season. And I realized how desensitized I am to gore and violence in media, because back then I think it was considered more risque in that regard than it would be now if it were released these days. We've already seen it all. And although it means more to me because of the story it depicts as a Christian, I wasn't particularly shocked or scandalized by what I was seeing.
Yeah, 2004 violence isn't the same thing as 2026 violence.
The impact of both like violence, gore, and sexuality has really been dulled for the average viewer at this point. So this is a popular sentiment that Sharon Stone was sharing.
Oddly enough, one of the parts that people take for granted is the sound design for violence and gore, which is like, it's the squishing, it's the slicing, if you like, half my timeline I'll go through phases where I'll scroll through X and it's just people posting like death scenes from movies and television, and it just looks comical without the sound, or when you're not immersed in the story that's going. My favorite being from Jason Takes Manhattan, when he's on top of the roof and the dude boxes him to the end of the building, and then Jason just knocks his head off, and it makes a spiraling sound. It's very, very funny. Like, but in general, I think that tension is better and violence is better left to the imagination, just like intimate scenes.
Yeah, there was this part of Passion where you're in the middle of the scourging at the pillar, and Jesus is being scourged with. There are these blades on the end of the whips that lodge into the skin and then rip out muscle and skin. And you're seeing some of it for sure, but then they pan away from the scourging at the pillar and show the Blessed Mother in another scene, and then while you're watching her away from the action, you're still hearing basically the drum beat of the whipping as it continues.
See the sound, the sound of it is a huge part of it. It's part of your brain that connects to it,
and that's where it was left up to the imagination in those moments where you're just hearing it in the background and watching something else. So anyway, Sharon Stone expanded on Basic Instinct in the same interview and also in her memoir in 2021, where she says she actually didn't know that she was going to be shown full frontal in that scene. And I had never heard that before, that this was something that she was basically like jump scared with at a screening later on. She revealed that she was misled into appearing nude in the movie. She had no idea about the nude scene until she saw a screening of the film alongside agents and lawyers. That was how I saw my vagina shot for the first time, long after I'd been told, we can't see anything. And they said to her, I just need you to remove your panties as the white is reflecting the light, so we know you have panties on. She said, now, here's the issue. It didn't matter anymore. It was me and my parts up there. Yeah. I had decisions to make.
Like, that's crazy, because that's a blatant lie they told her.
Yeah, at that point, she doesn't have a decision anymore because it's in the final cut of the movie. So it's out of your hands at that point. And it's weird because, like, I had never heard that anecdote before, and she doesn't seem all that, bothered about it later on. But that is quite shocking that they could get away with that legally. Morally, obviously, it's just what we've come to expect from Hollywood. But it reminded me of a more recent interview with one of the actresses in Bridgerton, which is also notorious for graphic sexuality, especially for historical fiction, like period piece. The actress said that she didn't know she had a sex scene in the show until she was on set about to film it. Her name is Ruth Gemmell, and she said she wasn't told she was going to be filming a sex scene until she went in for the costume fitting for the scene itself. She said, I was a little bit shocked. I was in a costume fitting and I realized that I was being fitted for something I had no idea was going to happen. I have to be honest that when I knew it was going to happen, I was quite scared. I went home and cried. And this is kind of insane because how did you not get the scripts beforehand to be aware that this was happening? Like there are a lot of questions remaining on my mind, but it seems like we're just stuck in gridlock where like the actresses, for the most part, don't want to do this. The viewers don't want to watch it. And especially younger viewers have been adamant about this. Whenever they're surveyed, they say they don't want to see sex on screen, let alone even relationships or intimacy of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're still being forced to watch it. It does feel like some sort of like top-down conspiracy is happening. And that is at least partly true if we're to believe that studios actually mandate sex scenes within a certain period of time at the beginning of a show or a movie. It's sort of like what it was either Ben Affleck or Matt Damon were saying about putting the big action piece in the first act instead of the third.
Yeah. We have a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. Says, a lot of Passion's gore was real. He's right about this. Jim Caviezel got scourged with the cat o' nine tails on accident. The slow-mo scene where Jesus falls for the first time, Jesus actually busted his face open. All of that was real blood. Yeah, whole articles have been written about all of this stuff. He got electrocuted, or he got hit by lightning multiple times or whatever. It was a hell of a... I had it pulled up here.
It's super impressive.
Because there was like a post on the back where the whip was supposed to hit, and then it missed and hit his actual skin.
Jim Caviezel does not get enough credit for that. That took a lot of dedication to the role. But yeah, I'm assuming that season 3 of Euphoria, the big finish, might as well be like the most graphic it's been so far in the show, based on what I've heard from like the leaks of the plot. Apparently, in the 3rd season, as you're seeing them embark on adulthood, Cassie, Sydney Sweeney's character, starts in OnlyFans, and she is married at this point to Nate, who used to be her best friend's boyfriend, and she steals her man, and they end up getting married. And then this wrinkle in the plot is that they make up after having a falling out over this relationship, the friends, and then the friend whose boyfriend cheated on her with Sydney Sweeney's character then starts encouraging Cassie to keep going and taking her OnlyFans career further and further because she knows that it's sabotaging their marriage, because Nate doesn't like that his wife is on OnlyFans, obviously.
Oh, I mean, at least that feels real.
Does it? I mean, is this like an average, experience in American life?
Okay, average okay, it's not about being an average in American life. It's about it being the average experience about people who actually end up on the platform.
It definitely represents a lot of destructive female friendships, for sure. So that's just one of the plot lines. There's another one where there's a different character who becomes a prostitute, and then maybe Zendaya's character allegedly becomes a prostitute as well. One of them is a mistress at a strip club. Literally all of them just become prostitutes because Sam Levinson knows that he can get away with this stuff, and he's not that creative.
All right, let's do Cringe first, which I will be seeing for the first time here because we did not actually have it open beforehand. So let me actually... How bad is today's in a scale of 1 to 10?
Honestly, I think that this kid is not cringe at all. He just gets too much flack.
Okay.
But you guys might think it's cringe.
You could tell, bro, that he could have this meal with a godly woman, but he'd still choose to go out and get hammered. I just don't get it. You could...
What the fuck? Why is he spitting facts, though?
This is his entire page, and he always ends the clip by like taking a bite out of this like meal on his rustic cutting board.
See, but this is way better than
that he's actually eating it.
Well, yeah, it's like I mean, he cuts it right beforehand. So there's this lady whose Instagram she makes purposely like awful food. She's the lady who makes like monster cupcakes or like monster steak, where she makes steak with monster.
You've mentioned this chick
so
before,
on the ones that are particularly disgusting, you never actually see her eat it, right? It like cuts and now she's chewing and, you know, maybe she ate it, maybe she didn't, but probably not.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it looks like a good meal. Like, I would eat that.
That looks delicious. The top comment says, you need vegetables too, bro. All right, let's do...
She's trying to get buff.
Cute of the day. This one's from Wolfman Jack says, caught him sleeping. So cozy. And he's upside down.
Oh, okay. This is another one that, like, was an optical illusion for me. I had no idea what I was looking at first.
Very cute. And then we got one more here. This one from Dusty Oracle says, this is Barkley. He's on the couch all bummed out because it's a yucky, rainy, no fun day.
Good Friday was very gloomy outside. And then the next, on Sunday, it was like nice and sunny. Felt perfect.
Perfect. All right. Well, we've got a bunch of stuff to get into, so why don't we get started?
Yes. So we already know that Jonathan Majors is working with the Daily Wire on an upcoming action movie. We don't know the title of it yet, and there's very little known about the plot. But there is a shakeup on set because some of the workers in the crew are on strike, according to reports from Deadline over the weekend. I had not even rubbed the sleep out of my eyes when I saw this headline, and it was crazy. Jonathan Majors fell through a window on Daily Wire action flick, leading crew to walk off set. Producers say they don't negotiate with communists.
I sent you this on Friday, and I was like, bro, I have no idea what any of this is about.
Yeah, and I was immediately enthralled. So on April 2nd, Deadline reported on the strike, and it is only gaining steam now that Jonathan Majors has fallen out of a window on set. That did actually happen. And the strike started on March 26th, according to their sources. Jonathan Majors' Daily Wire action flick, picketed by IATSE crew in South Carolina. That is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. We're all learning together. And at the time, on April 2nd, they got a comment from Dallas Sanier, who runs Bonfire Legend, a producer on the movie. We're too busy being badasses, blowing shit up, flying helicopters, and killing movie terrorists to concern ourselves with 4 assholes with signs on the sidewalk and their illegitimate strike. Well, that was his official statement to Deadline at the time.
It's pretty much true that you're allowed to, if you're not working in Hollywood proper, you can not like unions, which you're not allowed to do if you actually work in Hollywood. I still remember the story when like Stephen Amell during the strike in 2023 had like the most like minuscule of critiques of unions and like ended up having to apologize and then go picket.
Right.
Yeah.
So all that was known about the strike on April 2nd was there were labor issues, but this new piece in Deadline goes into far more detail about what's going on set. And the defenestration was just one of many incidents that anonymous workers told Deadline about. They say, we understand that initially the union attempted to sign a contract with production in order to secure payment into the union's health and pension funds. However, things got more serious as safety concerns grew over the past 5 weeks of production. Producers have not denied any of the below allegations, but when reached by Deadline for comment, they said they don't negotiate with communists. Deadline spoke with several crew members who have since stopped work on production, who say the strike effort gained steam at the top of last week after Jonathan Majors and co-star, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, JC Kilcoyne, accidentally tumbled out of a window while filming a scene. The incident was captured on video obtained by Deadline, which is embedded, and multiple sources confirm the accident occurred after the window was replaced with an unsecured sheet of tempered glass to be purposefully shattered in a later stunt that did not involve any actors. Since the tempered glass was only sitting loosely in the window, both actors and the sheet of glass fell about 6 feet to the ground. Kilcoyne required stitches all over his hands after the incidents, and his reps say he is doing well and was taken care of immediately by production.
I'm gonna say this. So
tragic happened.
Should we watch the clip? We have it here.
Yeah,
so let's watch the clip here really quick. I love that they were filming it at all, to be honest. but here we go. And there's no sound here, at least on this clip. You can hear. There you go.
Here we go, guys. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, action! No! Oh! Guys, let it come back. Let it come back.
Wait for it.
Yeah. Good? I'm good. You good?
I'm good, right?
Did we shoot it?
We shot it.
Use it.
See, I love that he said, "Did we shoot it? Use it."
Yeah.
So this is true of anybody that's been skating as long as I have. Is like the one thing you want to know when you fall and take a bad fall is like, you got that, right? Like, you got that. You have to make sure that they got that. So much respect for him for being all in. Seemed fine with it.
It's a veritable boys club on set in South Carolina. Now, I mean, a 6-foot drop, to me, it doesn't sound that serious.
That actually fully depends on what position his back was in when he fell. So if you take a 6-foot fall like this, and this side here is your neck, and you're going down, that could kill you. That could break your neck. Like, that depends.
It could have been much more serious than just stitches, but from what we understand, nothing tragic happened, and they're still continuing production. The weird detail, though, that was added by a crew member is that they didn't want people to know that this happened. He says he arrived on set after the incident to help reset the scene, and quote, "When I got there, nobody mentioned anything about people falling out of the window. It seemed weird to me." So it's like kind of being kept hush-hush for some reason.
Look, let's also point out that the people who are speaking to Deadline are doing so on the basis of anonymity and likely don't like they took the job because it pays, but don't want to be working for them because they don't like Daily Wire.
But you would assume there is a selection bias here because the people who are on the crew of this movie can't possibly be that crazy, right?
No.
Like, they're not crazy enough to turn down work based on ideology if they ended up on that set in the first place.
It's like John Lithgow, right? Like, oh, I don't like J.K. Rowling, but I'm gonna check
is a check.
Yeah, you're gonna take the money.
Right. And they add, JC did not feel unsafe on set and continues to have a positive experience working on the project. Now, they continue, while that seems to have been the inciting event for the strike, crew members who walked off the job say it was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of their concerns. Multiple workers corroborated incidents involving props falling onto crew, including a rigged tree branch that hit the set medic. Now, if the medic is out of work, then you have a real problem.
Yes.
Several crew also confirmed there were no meetings with department heads or writer-director Kyle Rankin ahead of complex stunts or the use of prop firearms. We hear the production has been using airsoft guns, outreach to the armorer. Thank you. Quick dance break. Now they're kind of hinting that this is a Rust 2.0 waiting to happen.
Okay, but they said airsoft guns, right?
Outreach to the armorer and prop master to determine set safety protocols surrounding firearms were not returned. So, yeah, they are just using airsoft guns. In fact, one crew member with decades of experience told Deadline they witnessed no normal production activities on set, such as the presence of a unit production manager or a crew list. You couldn't find anybody. You didn't know who they were. The crew eventually began circulating a black market crew list to try to identify their colleagues themselves. Deadline also understands the production required a location change after crew pushed back on the use of a space that was infested with black mold. Producers had wanted to move forward with the location even after a contractor warned that the building was likely constructed with asbestos and should be properly tested. Instead, crew discovered the mold on their own as they prepped the location. They didn't really care about the long-term effects on the crew, said one of the former set laborers. I don't think it even crossed their minds because they're so inept. Members of the crew said they've also raised concerns about special effects supervisor Chris Bailey, who has previously pled guilty to illegal possession of explosives on a movie set. He was prohibited from handling explosive materials because of a prior criminal conviction. According to a 2021 press release from the DOJ, the special effects supervisor on a movie set is responsible for designing and executing practical in-camera effects, such as explosions, pyrotechnics, rigs, and atmospheric elements. When reached by Deadline, Chris Bailey called that incident a paperwork infraction and said no pyro was mishandled. By that time, the crew went on strike late last week. More than 60% had signed union cards affirming that they wanted a collective bargaining agreement via IATSE. However, the film's producers have made it quite clear they have no intention of doing so. In a new response to Deadline, Dallas Sanier said the entire industry is in free fall due to strikes, and now that their members are out of work, they're trying to sabotage the few people who are still producing. We don't negotiate with communists.
Look, right
and that
now,
is what ended up in the headline.
There was a very long article written the other day about the possibility of a Detroit-style exodus from Hollywood. As I was talking about recently, you guys can watch the the producer Patrick video about the permitting issues going on with Baywatch, how the ways in which tax credits not being properly applied and issues with certifications and stuff are killing Hollywood as an industry, and almost nothing is getting produced in California anymore. The industry is absolutely in free fall in a lot of ways, and for people to make stuff on their own just seems like it's not going to be done with the same level of, I guess, foresight that traditional Hollywood movies were. But look at how much it costs to make a movie now. The redundancy in all of the red tape is what makes it on top of unions, union dues, all of that stuff adds up to a very expensive project, and people are trying to produce stuff outside of that structure, and you get stuff like this. Like, I don't know about the black mold and stuff like that, but
That sounded bad.
the accident on set feels not outside of the industry at all. You can read endless stories about things going wrong on the sets of movies. It's not an easy thing to do. As for the black mold and the asbestos, that one might want to be addressed.
Well, they're making it sound like this is the Wizard of Oz, you know, like it's really not that bad. And I do agree with you that the crew members are probably motivated by ideological differences more than just labor issues. And they continue saying, while Dallas claims the strike is not legitimate, Deadline understands that production has received official communication from IATSE International regarding the effort. Typically, they will step in to try to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement on a non-union set only after crew reaches out with concerns. Deadline has also confirmed that the production is operating under a SAG-AFTRA contract. It's quite common for the below-the-line unions to try to demand a deal if one has been granted to above-the-line workers. While details about the film have been largely under wraps, we hear the film is titled Run, Hide, Fight, Infidels and is an anthology sequel to Kyle Rankin's 2020 action thriller Run, Hide, Fight. The story is said to be in the vein of 80s and 90s action movies like Red Dawn and Toy Soldiers, which were both about groups of teenage boys who had to band together to defeat invading enemies.
Well, those would have been made with less union rules and probably more accidents on set too. Maybe they're just going for unrivaled authenticity. Just as a way of bringing it up as a point of comparison, does anybody remember when the crew member died on the set of Marvel's Wonder Man?
Well, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, that's the point. Is that the article from Deadline? Now there's 2 points of preference here. One is that the article from Deadline wants you to make it think that it's the worst thing that's ever happened in the world. But there is a difference between a stuntman dying during a stunt and a regular actor getting injured because something that wasn't supposed to be a stunt happened. But I don't think that level of nuance is what they're even going for. Their point there is to make it seem like everything that Hollywood does comes across perfectly all the time, and accidents never happen when we know that is not the case.
I thought there was even a death of a stunt performer on a different Marvel project.
There has been, yes. There was
involving a motorcycle accident.
Yes, correct. That's happened. Yep.
Yeah, it's also interesting that Deadline is focusing so heavily on this, given that historically, every time the Daily Wire has made some sort of theatrical release, including their documentaries, Deadline is usually the first trade to report on it with the exclusive statements and press release details. But they say they're basically just like pushing through, and filming is continuing in some capacity despite the picket line. The companies are actively seeking to replace the crew that are on strike, and the union, meanwhile, is discouraging others from taking the job and, scabbing.
Well, yeah, they want to blackball you if you decide because you want to go work.
But if anything, I think ultimately this does work in Daily Wire's favor publicity-wise.
Yep. We got two 20s here. One from Shane H. Wilder says, most of accidents that end up in film don't get talked about if it makes it better. There is a saying, when someone hands you a plate of gold, you say, oh, thank you. I've been expecting this. Major seems fine with it. Yeah, he does. He didn't seem to be bothered by it. I suppose when your work prospects are less so, maybe you have to put up with more, I guess, is the point.
They noted that he does have another movie in the works, though, with Martin Villeneuve.
I don't know who that is. I know who Denis Villeneuve is.
I thought, okay, well, that's an uncommon last name. They're probably related.
We got another 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, I've heard Daily Wire's Pendragon Cycle was a happy set with almost no issues. Yeah, but that's because it was filmed in, Prague, not in America.
Well, why would that make the difference?
Because there weren't American actors nor American workers, I don't believe.
They did have American actors.
I mean, not a lot. I've heard Daily Wire's Pendragon Cycle was a happy set with almost no issues. Considering Baldwin incident, you'd figure people would be more safety conscious on films going forward. Is Daily Wire trying to bust the union? So the funny thing about that is that was one of the things that happened after the Rust shooting. There was a big hullabaloo about the use of firearms on set. And I always try to point out that what happened is the exception and not the rule. Because what happened was, The Rock said that what's his company, $7 Productions or whatever it is, was only going to use rubber guns from now on. When The Covenant came out that year from Guy Ritchie, they used airsoft guns, a lot of them do. But the thing is, you think back of NCIS LA was on air for 14 years and was using non-guns and prop guns, and there was a shootout in a statistically improbable amount of gunfights going on in every episode. And unless it changed in the later seasons, they were using prop guns the whole time. And as long as the rules are followed on set, then it's going to be fine. But obviously this isn't that. If they don't have an armorer, you better be using airsoft guns and figuring shit out, because you do not want a Rust 2.0.
The detail about this alleged, pyromaniac prop master, I think, was the funniest part because of what he said to Deadline about, it was just a paperwork thing. Nothing, even though he was, criminally convicted.
You blow up one set, and suddenly everybody's got it out for you.
They're not just rehabilitating actors who got Me Too'd, they're also rehabilitating pyromaniac prop masters.
Perfect. I love it.
It is all kind of the perfect tapestry. I want to see a making of documentary about this movie.
I'm not gonna lie. So I posted a tweet yesterday about how I said I rewatched Terminator 1 and 2 over the weekend, and I still think Terminator 1 is the better movie. That's just my personal preference. But I was thinking about the scene from the start of Terminator 2. Have you ever seen Terminator 2? Did you ever?
I don't recall. Probably not.
So there's this scene from the nuclear fire where it's just flames destroying a playground, and I just imagine the guy on set who got to just torch an entire playground, because I don't think the movie was made in 91, which means it was probably shot in 90. They likely took flames to a whole playground, and I'm just thinking, I'm watching it, I'm there's a pyromaniac out there somewhere who gets off to this. I know it's true because it's shot in slow motion. It's extremely dreadful. They love that shit in Hollywood. They love blowing stuff up.
That was also, before playgrounds were made into
plastic. Yeah, it was all metal burning back then.
In regard to Pendragon, I did watch the first episode. I wasn't paying my full attention to the episode, I'll admit. I was in the middle of a conversation too, but from what I saw, it's good. I do think that a lot of the hate for Pendragon is forced, and it's because people have a hate boner for Daily Wire, like they do.
They're saying that the
Undeniable.
scene in Terminator 2 was a miniature, so they were using miniatures. Did they burn the miniature then? Or was that part? I love that. I love knowing that. Like, I missed the days when they did miniatures. But somebody should let me know. I do like the idea that somebody like applies for a job to do the pyro on the scene. They've got like back in the coke snorting executive ages of the 80s, like a dude who's got like convictions for pyromania is like, well, who else do you want burning shit on set?
Yeah.
And they're like, hire this guy. This is amazing. All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today.
Yeah, I want to discuss the societal obsession with child star trauma. And it's because of a post I saw on X last month that got my gears turning. And over time, I've just seen more and more examples of it. People who are spinning tales about child stars experiencing horrific trauma that they never once spoke about or alleged against anyone in Hollywood, simply because there is a cultural fascination with the very idea. And I think Amanda Bynes is a great example of this phenomenon. So this post I saw was a before and after comparison of Amanda Bynes before, when she was back at Nickelodeon. This is probably from like 2004 or something. And a more recent photo where, of course, she looks like her present day self, almost unrecognizable. And with the face tattoos and the weight gain, lots of despair in her eyes. And the joke caption said, before and after a woman turns 25. But someone responded to it saying, more like before and after a woman has a mental breakdown due to being sexually abused by PDF files throughout her childhood, but okay. And then I saw another person expand on this saying, am I alone in thinking it's also very strange to say a former child star was constantly molested by the adults around them when said star has never made that claim? And not only has Amanda Bynes never made that claim, she has come out and explicitly denied these claims. Yet people still hammer this conspiracy, basically, that she was molested specifically by Dan Schneider. And they continue spreading this lie.
There's a response.
No proof.
There's a response underneath that says, I mean, she did say that her father sexually abused her before withdrawing those statements by claiming that a microchip he implanted in her brain made her say those things. Doesn't really seem like something she is willing or able to discuss these things considering her mental health struggles.
Yeah, are we talking about a reliable narrator of the events of her life? And I know this is a sensitive topic for many reasons, but it's not that far-fetched to think people who experience psychotic breaks, manic episodes, and delusions being a symptom of those conditions, they might experience delusions of traumas that never occurred. Mm-hmm. And publicly express them with the platform that she has.
But the problem, and the thing is, though, because of the internet, the nature of the internet, we can't know. Like, I can understand a person believing what she said about her dad. I can. Like, even if she recants, I can see a person and have no doubt in my mind, nor would I find it hard to believe that happened. It's really going to be outside of like actual like verified evidence. You're basically going to go with whatever direction your personality tends to dictate, right? So if you believe that the abuse of children in Hollywood is as pervasive as many believe that it is, you're going to be predisposed to saying she was telling the truth all along, and she only recanted because she didn't want to have to go through the trauma again of talking about it over and over again. But if you're somebody who believes that somebody can go through all sorts of trauma, maybe not necessarily related to that, and then may have, how did you phrase it? You said that they might say something that didn't actually happen.
They might have a delusion.
A delusion.
Yeah.
Okay, so that depends on where your train of thought goes for all of this. So it really is more of a Rorschach test for what you think the most important aspect of the topic is.
Well, people have a selective memory. because after the release of the Quiet on Set docuseries a few years back, Amanda Bynes put out a statement to officially deny the claims that anyone at Nickelodeon ever even mistreated her, let alone abused her, and said the opposite was true and that she had a very positive experience at Nickelodeon. But no one wanted to pay any attention to that because it's not as entertaining, I guess. And I feel like even the people who spread these narratives don't take the subject matter very seriously because it's just another, story that they find salacious, and they find it interesting just for the salacious nature of the accusations, not because they're actually concerned about the person of Amanda Bynes. And it, reminds me of Justin Bieber as well. Just earlier today, I was scrolling Instagram and came across a video of Justin Bieber and Usher performing at the 2011 AMAs. And it's this incredible performance that, it showed that they have like great chemistry on stage together and doing this choreography. And then I looked at the comment section and literally everyone was cracking jokes about how allegedly Usher abused Justin Bieber and, did butt stuff with him when he was a kid. And they don't even seem to take that allegation very seriously, yet wholeheartedly believe that it's true. And that goes for Diddy as well.
Well, this is because of we've turned everybody's trauma into entertainment.
Yeah, it's like they're just cashing in the trauma coins.
Which is why I like the fact that when we do these types of topics, we have to approach it with some semblance of more than just a 180 character tweet, right? Like, one of the most frustrating things in the world is when people tweet something like that just out of pocket, and it catches, it goes viral, and I'm like, okay, fine, maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, but that's not a discussion. That's a statement. That's something you're claiming as fact, phrased as a fact, when that's not what the evidence necessarily supports, because nobody wants to have the actual discussion because it's not as interesting.
Right. Or it's just asking questions and never providing the answers. In regard to Diddy, of course, we've all seen that clip from 2009 or whatever, where 14-year-old Justin Bieber is going to spend 48 hours with Diddy, and they're not going to say what they're about to do. And of course, we know Diddy was and is a total degenerate. So he probably did expose Justin as a kid to scenarios, environments, and people that he shouldn't have been around. And that's undeniable. But then contrast that with Justin Bieber's own words. He openly said he is not a victim of Diddy, and he wants people to stop saying that because it takes away from the merits of his actual victims' claims. And yet people still are beating this drum, and I think it's not only
because it's not about the person.
But
it's not about it's not about whatever Justin Bieber might or might not have suffered from. Or whoever might have been. Actually, no, let me rephrase it. It's not about whether Justin Bieber suffered or not. It's about whether or not they can dunk on the person who they believe was the one who committed the crime.
Right, but then it just ends up sounding like a massive joke to them.
It just proves that they don't care. It could have been Justin Bieber. It could have been anybody, as long as it was about somebody, if that makes sense. It doesn't matter who Diddy harmed, as long as there's somebody that they can attach to it so that they can make jokes about Diddy harming people.
Right. And now with this Hannah Montana reunion show that they did, this special on Disney Plus, people are talking about Miley Cyrus being another example of a former child star who came from the Disney pipeline. And people make similar claims about her all the time. And they say that she was abused as a child star. And that's why she went on this bad girl arc in her early adulthood that she now apparently regrets. And again, there's no evidence for those claims. It's just like weird to me that if you point out like the lack of evidence, it's you're the one who doesn't take the subject matter of child abuse seriously, but in reality, the people who are making all of those baseless accusations are the ones who are making it a joke. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. This is controversial, but I came up with this term earlier. I'm gonna start calling it Isaac Cappy syndrome, because as tragic as Isaac Cappy's death is, and all of the mental health struggles that he had evidently before dying at a young age, he was also making baseless accusations against countless people in Hollywood on Periscope live streams for an extended period of time with, again, just no evidence. And then people just take it at face value. And now we have like a gimmick account on X named after this person called like Isaac Cappy's Army or something. And all they do is just post conspiracy slop to engagement farm. And again, you're not taking any of it seriously. It's all a big joke to these people. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like having concern for child performers. Obviously, they're in an incredibly vulnerable position. They are forced to grow up in ways that no child should be expected to. And Amanda Bynes, for instance, she's just based on what we've seen of her on camera, like she was playing, 50 to maybe hundreds of different characters on her show. That has to do something to someone's brain development and their identity. It might fragment your identity to be expected to perform that way. And you're around adults all the time and you are given all this responsibility. And a lot of child stars are also the financial providers for their entire family. They're under immense pressure. And like, yes, that is in many cases inherently a traumatizing experience. And you don't have to embellish at all in order to tell that story. It doesn't require any conspiracy rabbit holes whatsoever to be open about that discussion. But people take it to this point that is cartoonish. And as far as Dan Schneider goes, you get to the end of the Quiet on Set series and still no one has alleged any abuse from him. And people who didn't watch the series just assume that that's in there.
Meaning, because there was definitely stuff about like watching adult content on
right
like that, but no physical.
He was a sleazeball,
yes,
of course, and an asshole.
But again, that is the problem with that documentary, was they lumped that in, which is one of the most egregious things you can think of, with like financial disputes with other people, with accusations against what's his name, the who's the guy, Brian Peck, right?
Drake Bell.
So like all of that is put together, and what it does is it creates one foggy memory of the whole production, which just boils down to Dan Schneider.
Right, and then he becomes the face.
People don't remember Brian Peck, but they certainly remember Dan Schneider.
Exactly, which I think is just, illustrating the problem at the core of this discussion.
But this is the same thing that happens. And I saw somebody earlier say, I think it has to do with the lack of prosecutions in the Epstein files. And as ridiculous and non sequitur as that feels like, there is a connection there with the fact that people feel as if powerful individuals will never face repercussions for their actions. So what it's done is it's turned people into the act of broad brushing and saying, instead of saying like specific people at specific levels of government are guilty of horrific atrocities against people, though obviously none of that being proven in a court of law, because they wouldn't be the files then, they would be the prosecutions. The point is now it's like, well, your government is run by pedophiles in Israel. So it's one blanket statement, because looking into each individual case is too much work, and it doesn't play as well when you're trying to go viral online.
They're flooding the zone.
Yes.
With
like
both true and false information, so that you couldn't possibly handle the cognitive load of evaluating each and every claim on its own merits.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
the
that's
thing
what's
is,
so maddening about it.
nobody wants to exist in a world online where you look at each individual claim, because that does not go viral, and that's what people are looking for. They're looking to be pithy and go viral, and that requires the broad statements.
And all of that being said, I still think that some kids are natural stars. Like I see like these videos of Ryan Gosling from when he was on the Mickey Mouse Club as a kid, and I'm like, yeah, like that kid is a star and should be on camera.
Some
like that is
people
a
are
natural talent. That there's nothing wrong with honing that and giving that attention. And I was watching the Hannah Montana movie last night, and I was like, yeah, like Miley Cyrus is a star, and she's naturally a talented individual. And yes, there are occupational hazards with putting kids on camera, and all of that is something that's been talked about ad nauseum. But I don't think there's anything inherently morally wrong with kids being performers.
How about at the very least you say, like, okay, if you want to broad brush Hollywood, that's one thing, but how about at least if somebody makes a blatant denial that it happened, you leave them off the list?
Right, but no, that's still not enough. Like, people just think, oh, well, Justin Bieber was blackmailed, so he had to put out that statement.
Well,
right?
but again, it's a Rorschach test. It just
fan
matters
fiction.
what you already believed beforehand, right? Because that's the way it is in politics. People will take whatever that person has to say. Whatever Trump says doesn't matter if you already dislike him. They will come up. You can come up with 10 good reasons why it doesn't matter, and if you do like him, you can come up with 10 good reasons it does. So it's not changing anyone's mind. All it is turning people's some people's real trauma and other people's proposed trauma into a form of entertainment that doesn't honestly engage with the accusations themselves.
Honestly, I think a lot of the social media discursive trends that we're noticing here go beyond just the subject of child stars. When I post something that people get mad at on Instagram, they comment and say that I work for Israel and that I'm Jewish. Or, they say things like, well, you're from the party that eats babies. And I'm just like, okay, people are just getting dumber. This is just happening. There's nothing we can do to stop it, because it's the medium is the message, and the medium we're using in this case is X.
And we are fast approaching a world where it will not matter. And I would say we're already there. Unless you can see verifiable video evidence of it, people will either believe it because they already did or disbelieve it because they already didn't.
Yep.
And even then, it will be called into question. Right? All right.
But I knew that was gonna ruffle some feathers, so if anyone has any thoughts, you are welcome to share them in the chat.
The floor is yours.
I'm curious. Yeah, the floor is yours.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about something a little bit less serious, shall we? Let's talk about
let's lighten the mood.
The restaurant gap.
So you all are aware of age gap relationships and all of the controversies around those. There are also wealth gap relationships where the two make different incomes. There are swag gap relationships where one person has aura and the other person has negative aura. But the most recent example of a relationship gap is the restaurant gap relationship. And it might actually have more salience than all of the ones previously mentioned, now that I've given it some thought. The New York Times published this piece asking, are you in a restaurant gap relationship? You check Resi by the hour. Your date couldn't care less. A misalignment in dining tastes is the ultimate test of compatibility.
No, it isn't. No, it is. I'm serious. This is why we're screwed. I before we even get into it, I'm sorry, but I was thinking about this before we get into it. They're like, you know when like if you're in a relationship and you break up, you tend to like maybe if you have some second thoughts, you remember the good times. And in the bad times, you don't remember quite as much. Like, how are you really thinking about like, oh, we were so perfect for each other? Why did his choice in restaurant matter so much to me at the time? Like, that's not a thing.
On the other hand, if you look back at the bad times, then you're like, and he always ate chicken fingers every time we went out. And it was so embarrassing. Now I know this sounds like, oh, we're just saying anything now. Like we're just writing think pieces about literally anything.
No,
now,
there are articles being written.
The people in the comments are actually arguing about this stuff passionately. So there are a lot of feelings around, you know, dining and food tastes and restaurants and all of the social implications of that and table manners and the list goes on. People clearly feel strongly about this. So I have to give them credit for noticing the trend. They first give an example of a couple in their 40s. They say Jose Santana, a court officer in the Bronx, passes his free time, like many New Yorkers. Between rulings, he peruses restaurant lists, studies Reddit threads about dining, and bookmarks recommendations from his judge. He says that he identifies as a foodie. Picking where to eat is his job, says his wife. She's just the passenger princess. After a parent-teacher conference, the couple rode the subway to the nomad neighborhood of Manhattan. Miss Santana had no idea where she was dining until she walked through the doors of the Portrait Bar. I was very underdressed. It never came up. Behold, the restaurant gap relationship. A misalignment in tastes, spending habits, and culinary curiosity. One partner secured a reservation by setting an alarm a month before. The other didn't know you needed one at all.
This has nothing to do with the relationship and everything to do with his inability to communicate what the dress code should have been.
But there are so many things that in a non-restaurant gap relationship would go unsaid, right? And there are so many aspects to this. It's how you dress in that setting. It's, you know, knowing the different terms that are used on a menu.
Yeah, I mean, I would fail in all that. It's like when you see the anytime a movie or TV show has somebody from like a poor family go have dinner with like a rich family, and they're like, which fork am I supposed to use? I would fail that test.
There's this section on the menu called anti-pasta. Why are they against pasta?
So I didn't know that red wine paired so poorly with this specific dish.
And it's also bringing up people's values when it comes to finances. You have to be aligned on those, and eating out is hella expensive these days. You have to be on the same page about that. If that's something that's really important to someone and not important to you, maybe you aren't compatible. Like, it sounds so frivolous, but then when you get deeper into the implications of it for your lifestyle, it does make sense why this might be a deal breaker for some people.
Okay, no. Okay, so the thing is though, is like, okay, is the idea here that she's doing well in life and she likes to eat out. He's doing less well in life and he doesn't like to eat out because he wants to save his money? Or is the idea that they're both doing the same, like they're both making decent money, she puts a certain amount of value in going out to fancy restaurants and he doesn't?
Well, it's more complicated than that when you have joint finances and you have to make decisions about how to spend your money as a couple instead of as individuals. There are also the debates about splitting bills, of course, when you're in the dating stage.
I go to Olivia and I say, look, anything off the dollar menu that you want.
Wait, the dollar menu doesn't exist
I know
anymore.
The dollar menu, that doesn't even exist anymore. The joke doesn't even work anymore because there is no dollar anymore. Like, we literally, okay, I kid you not.
Anything you want off of the $4.99 or less menu.
We were at, because she is a huge fan of McDonald's chicken nuggets. Not chicken nuggets in general, but McDonald's
Just those.
chicken nuggets. And I am a fan of, we literally got to talking about what is the difference between the McDouble and the double cheeseburger. And I was sitting there on Grok reading the various differences when really it's just the McDouble, and I was right, the McDouble only has 1 slice of cheese. The double cheeseburger has 2 slices of cheese.
Right.
Okay.
Hence
so,
double
but
cheese.
there's like a 50-cent difference between the two. That matters. Okay. That adds up.
Well, look, as much as everyone can be like cheeky in the replies and say it's not that deep, I, like always, am the person who thinks that it is that deep and everything is that deep. And eating is one of the most important things that human beings do together, and that's been true for millennia.
And at the very least, the concept of like 2 people at different stages in life, where one person who wants to eat at home to save money values that, you know, ability to save, and the other person who maybe is more stable and value, because what if it's the woman that wants to go out to eat more? Is the guy gonna be okay with her paying for it because she's more stable and says, I value this part of the experience, and they're dating, and he's like, yeah, but we're in the courting stages right now. It's my job to woo you, and if I can't woo you with expensive meals out, then you better be damn good at cooking, since you like cooking at home.
Well, we need a larger sample size, obviously. They should have interviewed more couples for this. But they say sometimes it's even more straightforward. The wife in this couple said she's the pickier eater, but she's tried so many new things, including pig's ear and sushi. She still won't touch sandwiches, though. Too many ingredients, she says.
Oh.
Okay, so if you're like so picky that you can't even eat sandwiches, maybe you're the problem in this relationship, but that's just my thought. The idea of relationship gaps has wormed its way into the American psyche. And then they mention, of course, the viral TikTok that was about swag gaps. That's not just about how you dress or how you look. It's about aura. The framework has sparked discussions about wealth gaps and partying gaps. How you behave yourself at a party, or whether you even party at all.
So it's literally just what you value and whether your partner has the same values.
Anything can be a gap, they say. Bedtimes, artificial intelligence use, and followers on Twitter are all fair gap game.
Okay, that,
so for instance, in my relationship, we have a follower gap where I'm a high B and he's a low B because he has no social media presence.
Yeah, but that could also be the thing
that could be described as a gap.
Yeah, but that could be the type of thing where like it could be in reverse, where the guy doesn't want somebody with a high follower count, so there might be a gap there because he would value somebody who's more who prefers anonymity.
Mm-hmm. And this TikToker says she's no stranger to the restaurant gap. She was referring to an ex-boyfriend who only ate chicken tenders and French fries. She didn't see it as an issue until another partner eclipsed her own tastes. And then her whole world opened up.
That's the problem. If the idea here is that like this guy, like that's fine as long as the new guy is also good for you in other ways. But if the idea is supposed to be that like he was perfect in every way, but I just couldn't get over the fact that he wants to eat chicken tendies, then we have a problem.
Right. It's like with many things, like your relationship shouldn't be based on shared interests.
Have you ever seen
not a deep enough foundation to build a lasting relationship that you, for instance, like enjoy the same type of movies.
Have you ever seen that it was like a pretty popular, it probably started as a TikTok and became an Instagram reel of this woman who said like, I thought it would be cool to be like a kept woman until I realized my husband just wants to eat chicken tendies and mac and cheese. And like she's like I'm in an age gap relationship where she was like in her like mid-20s and her husband was like turning 40 or something, or in his 40s, and she's like, and he's sending me to the store for macaroni and cheese and Dino Nuggies.
Yeah.
And everybody in the comments is like, well, as long as he's paying the bills, shut the fuck up. Like
and there are several Reddit posts from anonymous users asking for advice on their restaurant gap relationships. One of them says her boyfriend doesn't like to go out to dinner or spend time with people. So that's kind of a problem. She says, I love going out on dinner dates, trying new types of food in restaurants, but he doesn't like to go out. He doesn't drink. Every time I ask to go out for a dinner date or to a bar for a drink, without pressuring him to drink, I can sense the frustration in his demeanor. He loves to play video games and has multiple other hobbies that mainly involve staying inside. He complains prior to going out for a friend's birthday, for example, or when I want to invite friends over. He only has one friend who he talks to regularly, but he does not have other friendships that encourage him to go out and do things in a social manner. I have my own hobbies and do my best to do things on my own. However, I'm feeling resentful. We have talked about it, and he says we will try to address this, but honestly, I have not seen any active change. He often talks about how his neurodiversity affects what he likes to do. What are your thoughts?
That's
and we're
the
not even
most-
scratching the surface of the people who say they have ARFID, the eating disorder that is not an eating disorder, where you gag at just the sight of anything other than like fast food slop. Another Reddit post said, my partner and I don't have similar food preferences. Is a major difference in food preferences an immature reason to end a relationship?
Yes.
I am a foodie and love nothing more than to try new restaurants and cuisines and a good cocktail. That's 90% of my social life / weekend activities.
Then it's not about the food. Then it's not about the food. It's about how you value spending your time.
Oh, this is a girl. She said, he's extremely picky and basically only wants to eat chicken, steak, rice, and veggies. He's not open to trying new things and also doesn't drink. He's a great guy and nothing much else is wrong with him, but I can't get it out of my head that because of this, it's probably not a match. I love food so much and can't imagine not bonding over that with my partner and experiencing new cuisines together. When we go out,
That is insane.
It always feels like he was just watching me enjoy the food. Be honest, is this valid or do I sound insane?
Every woman is going to tell her it's valid, and they would be wrong. They would be wrong, and I will tell you why. Okay, so the idea here is he's not preventing her from trying new things. He just doesn't want to do it, right? So in a world where people are getting married later and later, relationships seem to be failing left and right. If the only thing you have to complain about is the fact that your food values don't line up 110% with your partner, you are an idiot.
It's hard out here. Like, every married person says they feel like they got the last chopper out of Nom.
Yes.
And you're about to end your relationship, which according to you is perfect in every way, because you don't like the same foods.
That's insane. Like, I'm saying, that's women being neurotic and talking themselves out of perfectly good situations.
Yeah, I do think that person was ridiculous. But there are things other than just the food that I think matter in how you conduct yourself at a restaurant. It has a lot to do with etiquette and table manners, and the way that you speak to wait staff, of course, is a huge deal. People have different beliefs about tipping at restaurants too, and a lot can be demonstrated about someone's character on a first date based on how they conduct themselves in that setting.
These were things that came up with me and Olivia, absolutely, where like she paid attention to how I spoke to waiters and people at a restaurant. It is important to treat other people with respect, and I do think that tipping well is important, especially when service is very good. And she had worked as a waitress before, so it makes sense. She's not going to look at somebody like if we go out to a restaurant for the first time and like get this, and you're talking like talking trash to this person, or even being rude to them when they're not there at the table. If nothing was done wrong,
right.
Like, it speaks to your character.
Right, exactly. And I would say you guys are the polar opposite of the way I do like dining out. You guys approach it entirely the opposite way, where you're like get in and get out, basically. Like,
yeah,
some people go to restaurants to eat, and I go for an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, I just want a place to go that's the third place to have a conversation, be it a date or going out with a group of people or with a friend. That's why I go to a restaurant, is that it's an atmosphere to have a conversation in.
Me and Olivia are in and out when we're...
I linger. I don't care if the waiter is like pissed at me for holding up a table. Like, I linger. I have a different approach entirely. And that's why I care about things like the lighting the sound level. Like if it's super noisy in there, if there's really loud music that prevents me from having a conversation, I'm never going back there. And that's irrespective, all of that, of the price point, or like even the type of food at the restaurant. It's about the vibe for me. So I think that you do have to be on the same page about that sort of thing if you're to be in a non-restaurant gap relationship. That's how I feel about it.
I would say that the part they mentioned earlier about the guy not wanting to go out and her wanting to go out, that actually is very important. Because it speaks to like if the idea here is that you're dating for marriage, you're going to be with that person for a long time. And if something as simple as like your core values about how you spend your free time don't line up, then it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough for you.
They interviewed this professional matchmaker in New York who manages planning all of these dates for people. And she said, dining used to be a special occasion. People would see movies or walk around museums on first dates. Can you imagine? There are 1,000,001 mismatches at stake for her clients. Do they drink? Are they vegan? The most fraught scenario. And can they speak over the racket of animated diners at the Polo Bar? I do my best to match, but there's always a real life chemistry at stake. And they interview another tech worker in Las Vegas, saying it was his ex-wife who closed their restaurant gap, stoking his love for eating with elusive reservations and food crawls. After they divorced, he went searching for a partner who shared his passion for culinary excess. See, they closed a restaurant gap, but there were other gaps that led to the divorce, apparently.
Funny how that
Food
works.
couldn't keep them together. And he says, I will judge a date based on how they act at a restaurant. He asks his matches about their favorite cuisines and views restaurants as a test for compatibility. When he found himself at a local tapas bar, for instance, and his date wasn't sure what to order, he saw an ill omen. But when he started a conversation with another woman and she suggested dim sum for a first date, he saw potential. If you're adventurous in food, chances are you're adventurous in life. More singles are thinking that way. Romantic compatibility comes up constantly in conversations about Belly, the social restaurant rating app. So this is a competitor to Yelp that's basically taking over that market share. People either say that they should launch some sort of dating component to the app, or they get sent daily Hinge profiles of people referencing their Belly stats. And this is like Letterboxd for restaurant like lovers, for foodies, basically.
God help us all.
Yeah, this.
Oh, your microphone cut out. Your microphone cut out right there. Yeah, the thing about it is, for like, say for me and Olivia, when we were talking about this earlier, because this is actually something that comes up for the two of us very, very frequently, which is that like when we go out to restaurants together, like the idea is always about, these days it's about, you know, what's the most cost effective place that we can go, versus on the weekends it's about, you know, we want to go someplace maybe farther away. The thing we're looking forward to right now has nothing to do with fast food. You know what it is? We're going to go to the Utz outlet store in like on the way to Pennsylvania. That's what we're looking forward to doing. You have to marry somebody who wants to go to the outlet chip store with you.
I mean, that sounds awesome.
Yes.
I would totally do that. But since you bring up like the spending habits thing, that is a huge deal. And they mentioned this couple at the end who, for context, by the way, are two men. They say this is bigger and more noticeable for people who are single or starting a new relationship. How a couple handles where to eat is a low stakes rehearsal for bigger conversations. But life isn't so bad in the gap. John, a 38-year-old retail worker in Florida, manages to drag his fiancée to dinner at the local Longhorn Steakhouse once a quarter. His partner doesn't like the inflated prices at restaurants or the pressure of eating around others. More often, they reheat freezer aisle pizzas at home or dig into bologna sandwiches with a swipe of Miracle Whip. We'd be dining out a lot more if it were up to me. Then again, he's saving us a lot of money.
So amazing. Somebody learns to compromise and everything works out.
If you could just like be a grown up about it, then your restaurant gap wouldn't be a deal breaker in the relationship. But people are really that shallow these days.
It's true. And like I said, a lot of people, it seems like, are willing to throw away something great because of these. I don't want to say, do you think that this would probably more of an issue for women than men because of a high level of neuroticism? They would throw away something that's working in every other facet because of this one thing where, like, her girlfriend's like, dump him, sis. He doesn't understand you. He doesn't understand what a Michelin rating means to a relationship.
Only for a woman who's very small-minded and highly suggestible and malleable to the preferences of her female friend group, which unfortunately does describe a lot of women in this generation.
I do, however, advise any dude who's taking a girl out on a date to please treat the wait staff with respect. Even if the service is not that great, and I'm not even kidding you, tip well if you're on a first date, and show yourself to be a benevolent human being, and understand that people make mistakes and it doesn't necessarily represent every experience there, even if that wouldn't be your normal preference. I think that they would look at that fondly.
We did an episode about the evolution of dating on a internet show, and I believe this is where Kyler brought up a date he went on a while back at a Mexican restaurant, and this chick that he was with she was dipping her chips in the queso, right? But every time her fingers were touching the queso.
So it wasn't even like a double dip that chip thing. It was the fingers were
grubby little paws dipping into the cheese over and over again. And he called her out for it. And she was like, oops. But then she just kept doing it. And that's how he knew.
Well, this is because
we cannot be compatible. This is not going to work.
That's purely a result of hoflation. Okay, she's got infinite opportunities. She can just dip her hands in the queso.
True. Yeah.
All right.
Let's read some super chats. Burned Oils. This is an ominous one. When you pass away, do you want us to make a big giant cake of your figure? They make them extremely realistic looking now. It would look just like you. Then we will eat it. No, I do not want a giant cake replica of my body to be made when I die, or even before I die. No, thank you.
I want to end up in a wax museum, but one of those really bad ones. I want it to look barely anything like me, like the ones we sent you pictures of when me and Olivia were on our honeymoon, and we sent you like the really, really bad ones that look nothing like the people.
No, it would just be a wax figure of Glenn Powell, and we would say it's you.
Yes, I'll take it.
Yeah. That reminds me of, by the way, shameless self-promo, a new episode of a internet show where we talk about the bizarre funeral practices in all different cultures around the world, and lots of crazy stuff that sounds similar to that.
We got a Rumble rant here from Broody Gambit. It's always Broody Gambit over on Rumble, so thank you. He says, the person who taught me miniature painting was actually a retired Hollywood effects guy who made the miniatures for shots like that. He's talking about the shot from Terminator 2, so that is awesome.
It really takes all kinds. I heard about this woman who ran an independently owned like costume conservatory basically in Connecticut, and it had everything you can possibly imagine, like high quality like Santa costumes to Easter Bunny to Halloween to like everything you can imagine. Thank you. And like I appreciate when someone has their thing.
Yep. Yeah, but you know what? Whenever I see those places, I'm like, how do they stay in business?
She probably had a rich husband, if we're being honest about the circumstances. But
one of my favorite memes going around right now, it's like it's videos of people going like this, like being angry, or seeing through movies where like people are angry, and it says, the rich husband when his wife's business only loses $500,000 this year.
That's a win.
Yep.
Yeah. Boss N said, Mary sounds like a Victorian lady with weak bones. Yeah, I won't deny that.
That's why food bruises you.
Nobody else has said that they experienced this. I must be weird. Burned Oil said, aha, the eye bags are from fasting too much too fast.
Wait, what are eye bags?
I have
Like bags under your eyes?
bags under my eyes, but I've always had those. It's
Yeah.
genetics, guys. Nothing I can do about it. Shane H. Wilder said 6 milli upper decky lip pillows for the win. Also, since I can have snack and sweet treats again, I tried the trolley popsicles. Tasted fine, but they were gummy like gummy worms. It was weird.
Yeah, I've seen
that
those multiple
sounds
times and almost bought them, but nah.
It doesn't sound worth it.
No.
No, I was like, I went crazy with my snack haul for Easter. Yeah, I had Snickers, Hershey's, Haagen-Dazs, Goo Goo Clusters, cake. I mean, it was kind of outrageous. And then I saw this meme earlier in the morning about like what happened calorically this past weekend can never happen again.
We're not going to speak about it.
Yeah, and that's
Look,
that's how I'm feeling right now.
definitely so what I've figured out is like for me, I have specific eating habits during the work week that are different because I want to like so somebody like called me out for like
dieting.
Somebody called me out for like eating on stream because I would like crash if I I eat like a full like thing of beef jerky. But then like the thing is now is I eat it all before we do the show. And then I have dinner, but probably because the beef jerky has so much protein, I snack way less during the week after eating dinner than I do on the weekends where my diet is less restricted. Chips get eaten on the weekend way more than they get eaten during the week.
Yeah, I do this thing where I'm sensible during the week, and it works. Pop Culture Junkie, I think we already read that one earlier. Katie said, hello, everyone. I just want to say hello today. Hello, Katie.
Hello.
Thank you for stopping by.
Hope you're doing
Shane
well.
H. Wilder said, I finally saw someone with an A24 tat. They look like what you'd expect, a he/she with a haircut that looked Ellen, like Ellen had a kid with a chicken. Yeah, they're calling that the wolf cut these days, I believe.
I saw something.
Not a fan.
Something we spoke about recently. Some topic we were talking about recently. Maybe it was in the Diner Goth segment. Mentioned like a wolf cut. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
It's adjacent to a mullet with more of an emo vibe.
Okay.
I don't know how else to describe it, but I see them all the time, and I do see mullets still all the time, and I'm really ready for that to go out of fashion. Brian Bledsoe said, so because Sharon Stone didn't go full spread eagle on Basic Instinct, she has some moral high ground? Sure, Sharon.
I mean...
Well, she did, but she didn't know, allegedly, that was going to end up in the final cut of the movie.
And I'm not going to lie, there is a gradient difference between a flash of nudity and people boinking on screen.
Yeah.
Those aren't... it's not to say that I...
In Euphoria.
It's not to say that I want to see either of them, but they aren't the same.
Mm-hmm. Pop Culture Junkie said some research shows that the effect of sound in film actually deals with the more hardcore primal parts of the brain.
So I was explaining yesterday, the reason I love the first Terminator more than I love the sequel is that Terminator 2 is a more traditional action movie. It's also longer, like a traditional action movie. I think it's like 2 hours and 19 minutes or something like that. Terminator 1, which came out in 1984, is basically a survival horror movie with this unbelievably unsettling score that feels like if you were having a fever dream while you had the flu of being chased by somebody. And the sound design has everything to do with that for me. It really does. Not just, but that's, I guess what we were talking about before isn't necessarily about score, but about the sound effects. Like in Scream 1, when the dude gets, I forget his name, the guy who gets like his, disemboweled. It's not even about the disemboweling. It's about the gross squelching noises that are being made while he's being disemboweled more than anything. And then and it's not just that. It's how the score hits a heavy point, a crescendo when something bad happens. There's a reason why jump scares are a thing.
And montages.
And montages. Exactly.
Which are the best part.
Oh, by the way, the Sharon, if we can go back to the Sharon Stone one for a minute, it actually speaks more to the brief nature of it being more important because when that happened, that was an iconic moment in film history that still matters to this day. Sharon Stone crossing her legs will matter infinitely more in the history of film than any sex scene ever filmed in Euphoria.
Yeah.
Nobody will care. But what Sharon Stone did will go down in cinema history forever.
Right. Like, honestly, nobody's going to remember the sex scenes in Euphoria.
No.
Like, that's not going to live on in anyone's cultural memory. Doesn't matter. Greg Duvier said Luca Leonello, who played Judas Iscariot in The Passion of the Christ, was an atheist during filming, but after filming, he became Catholic. Interesting. I didn't know that. There's so much lore about Passion. And I was thinking about actually watching it without the subtitles on, because the entire thing is in like Latin, Aramaic, and Hebrew, I believe. But you could probably follow the story really well without dialogue. It's really well made. Shane H. Wilder said, "I'll repeat myself, more like Euphoria." Am I right?
You're right, bro. Spot on.
You just pwned Sam Levinson. Pop Culture Junkie said Sam Levinson was an uncredited writer on Borderlands.
Well, okay then. Nobody watched that movie, so.
Yeah. Robert Delara said Jonathan Majors was a good sport. He sucked it up and moved on to the next scene. He probably gained a little more respect from most of the crew. Well, I don't know. I mean, apparently the crew was shocked and appalled at the incident. But yeah, he was a good sport about it in the clip. Shane H. Wilder. Wait, I think that we already read that one about Jonathan Majors, right?
Which one?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Skateman 2010 said, Brett, thoughts on WWE doing everything they can to sell WrestleMania, even bringing back Cena already?
I'm behind this week. Is that actually happening right now? I do know that the Pat McAfee twist with Randy Orton was unbelievably stupid and reeked of like corporate synergy to bring back like an ESPN guy, because they have a deal with ESPN and Endeavor and Ari Emanuel. They're like, this year, again, I don't watch the shows. I listen to podcasts and hear people talk about it, but nothing that they're doing right now seems at all interesting. The only thing that I'm kind of interested to see about is how the situation with Brock Lesnar and Obafemi will go. And I don't know, because Brock Lesnar just got dropped more in the most recent update of the Janelle Grant lawsuit with creepy ass shit. And I don't know if that's going to affect him appearing at WrestleMania or not. I imagine that it won't. But yeah, it hasn't been exactly a great build. Doing it 2 years in a row in Las Vegas was really stupid. So
Antonio Lucero said, arrived here with the Hanks Conspiracy show Mary hosted.
Was there a Hanks Conspiracy show?
I don't know. I'm not sure I recall which episode you're referring to. Shane H. Wilder said, I've never met a prop master who wasn't a pyro. It's an unofficial job requirement.
I liked one of the memes that said like, one of the Babylon Bee memes that said like, Gaffer on Harry Potter series looks around, hoping they don't realize he didn't turn the lights on.
Corey Anderson said, so was there a shooting going on outside your last episode of a internet show? Well, it depends on which episode you're talking about. Honestly, like, they're coming out of order, so I don't know which one is coming out next.
They're taking the Fox News. They're taking the Fox channel approach to it, where they just air episodes out of order.
But maybe it might have been a shooting. We have no idea. Greg Duvier said, I enjoyed all 7 episodes of Pendragon Cycle. That's good to hear. I think a lot of people are just really like hamming it up with the hate for the show. I did notice what people were saying about the costumes, for sure. Look very, very, very squeaky clean and fresh out of the package that came.
Still got the wrinkles in the top.
Yeah, but it was generally good. It's also not the sort of thing I usually watch anyway. Corey Anderson said, in regards to Amanda Bynes, at least Brittany didn't get fat.
That's true.
I don't know. It depends on who you ask. I've seen a lot of people trash Brittany for her for her physique, but it's only because the Britney physique is no longer in vogue.
I guess it's true. They are bringing John Cena back as the official host of WrestleMania 42. I mean, that's okay, because he said, once I retire, you will never see me wrestle in the ring again. Like, that doesn't preclude him being a host. He's going to work with WWE forever. Like, did you know that they get a cut of like anything with his name attached to it, even though it's his real name?
Yeah, that's kind of effed up, in my opinion.
He loves it. He's the ultimate company guy. Like, he's the he's like, why would I not want to share it with them? Like, they made me who I am.
All right, fair enough, I guess. Robert Delera said, whatever the full truth may be, Amanda Bynes' story is a deeply sad one. Yeah, of course. I think a lot of the posts about her are in a mocking tone, which I think is unfair. Pop Culture Junkie said, watch Bynes in Easy A, her final film, really great. Yeah, I do remember her character from Easy A more than I remember Emma Stone from Easy A. And it also wasn't that good of a movie, so she kind of elevated it for me. Katie said, when I spoke about my abuse from my dad, he was a prison officer. He did threaten to sue for speaking. I get it if Bynes is scared to speak. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible that she, is under some kind of pressure to recant, but also we have to accept that you don't know what you don't know, right? And it's also maybe not it's not information that we're entitled to know, you know? Kalegi said, I'm starting a new Gen Z term, value matching. It's when people in relationships bond over similar values.
So just like a relationship? Like,
you mean value maxing? Because that would be a little bit more Gen Z adjacent.
Let's value max.
Yeah, let's get that to catch on. I'm sure that.
Well, that's like when they what is it, like demisexual, and it's like you have to like be connected to the person. So just
I have to like someone in order to have sex with them.
So it's just like, so you're a normal person.
What an insane concept.
It's like when people the worst thing in the world is like people who are like, I'm like really shy unless I get to know you. I'm like, so you're like so you're like a normal person then.
Yeah. Robert Delera said, a relationship should be a combination of both people having common interests, but also having your own tastes in life. But that is just my opinion.
Well, they also say, but then you always hear the stories of like relationships that succeed because they have certain things that they're complete opposites on, where it's like one of them's really into math and is good with the finances, and the other person is not and is good with some other aspect of their relationship, right? So, or what's the other one? It's like one person in a relationship is always up late fiddling, and the other person always wants to go to bed early, and they get married.
Yeah, it takes some polarity, I think, to make a relationship work. Burned Oil said, LOL, Mary, being at a resto sucks. You can't just put your legs on the table by example. Everyone is talking. Ew, eating at home is the way to go.
See, then you need to find someone, Burned Oils, who shares your values. You can't go date a foodie who knows the origins of the Michelin star system. You have to go find somebody who also doesn't want to be out in public with other people.
Then this is not even to touch on the sweet treat gap.
Yeah.
That's one that could seriously nuke a relationship if one of you is into getting a sweet treat and the other one doesn't. It's usually the woman. And then if you don't want a sweet treat, she's like, oh, so you think I'm fat. And it gets ugly. Okay. Never have I been at a restaurant and thought, why can't I put my legs on the table, though? That just hasn't really occurred to me. And I'm more distracted by music playing than other people talking. Shane H. Wilder said, I always enjoy having a good convo at restaurants. It is a historically important part of eating with other people, although I always tip more if we stay longer. I did tip 100% one time.
They love you.
That's if they go above and beyond and like truly deserve that. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? But I'm not gonna tip for like a coffee. Like, I don't tip at coffee shops. Sorry.
I
We're just
tip
doing
high
that.
at Little Caesars every time I go because I need to keep the establishment going. And it's not even the greatest service at the one that we have.
But doesn't it just go like straight to corporate?
I have no idea who it
Like I
goes.
would just assume. It
Perfect.
does.
Like I'm not even kidding you. I tip high because it's actually how funny how not good it is there. like there have definitely been times where I go
You're
in.
the only person who tips there.
I go in to go get something, and I can hear people in the back, like behind one of the pieces of equipment talking, and I know that they know I'm there, and they know that I know that I'm there, and I almost have to respect how not interested they are in hurrying up to come out and help me.
That would be an aura loss. If they ran up to the counter to take your order, that would be an aura loss.
And to be fair, I only order if I see something in like they have like the preheated section. Like if there isn't like a pepperoni pizza there or a Italian cheese bread or a crazy bread, if they're like it'll be 10 minutes, I'm like no, I'll buy. Like I'm here to get my slop now, not wait for slop.
Slop now,
Yes,
not later.
not later.
Robert Delera said, Brett's restaurant etiquette advice is simple but so true. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Agreed. Boston said $5 for the correct Karen Daria Wednesday conservative 10 out of 10. By the way, is it get a chance to check out old school Adult Swim talk shows? Your gives its vibe?
I think he's talking about an internet show gives it the vibe of an old Adult Swim.
We've gotten that comment a lot, and I do take it as a compliment. It's just not something I grew up watching, but yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. Antonio Lucero said 20-second dance party. Dig it. Are you new here?
Yeah,
That's a
I
crisis
saw
party,
some
in case you're
people.
confused.
I see some people in the chat. They're like, "Why is the song interrupt?" Guys, if you don't know, if you are new here, every time we get $100 in super chats, that triggers what is called a crisis party. You can see it down below here, right there. We are about a little under halfway to a third crisis party, and you know how many we've had because it's up there in the corner where I'm pointing right now, how many crisis parties we have had. So it would be cool, for instance, if we were to get to a third crisis party, but that'd be like roughly $50. So that's what triggers the impromptu dance party.
Shane H. Wilder said, speaking of funerals, when my dad passed, the funeral home asked if we wanted him turned into a necklace. No, that's weird, and Catholics don't do that. What?
Didn't know they could do that. Where do you get do you have to get like a jeweler's certificate to be able to do that?
That sounds super weird and almost insensitive to even ask someone that question. That's bizarre. Pop Culture Junkie said, I have a distinct memory of being 6 years old, feeling cheated if I got a chocolate bunny for Easter and it was hollow instead of solid. Yeah, there's like a, what is it? It's like a 10-pound chocolate bunny. Where is that sold? I think it's like at Disney or something.
Probably costs. You probably have to take a mortgage out to get it from Disney.
And like the serving size is for like 12 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a chocolate bunny because I'm grown. Brian Bledsoe said there's been much criticism about the ticket prices for WrestleMania and seems they're using celebrities as a desperate attempt to get tickets sold.
Yeah. The ticket prices. Basically, WWE has gone the same route as Disney, which is they've priced out families to go, which it used to be that wrestling was like the economical way of spending like a Friday night or Saturday night with your family. It was something you go out and take the whole family to go do. Now the tickets cost so damn much that it's not really cost effective for families. The only people that can afford to go are the few diehards and then like rich people.
A Saudi Arabian prince.
WrestleMania is going to Saudi Arabia, so that's actually not even that far off.
Damn you, private equity.
Yeah, I mean, well, they got bought out by TKO, which is Endeavor, which is like WWE, UFC, all of those. It's all Ari Emanuel, and it's all about I guess, Corpo speak now, and synergy. and in their shareholders, and it's not really about the fans anymore.
I know it's not fair, but every time I hear Ari Emanuel's name, I think back on that horrible picture of shirtless Elon Musk hanging out. Wasn't he like on a yacht hanging out with Ari Emanuel, and they were like hosing each other down or something? Like, it was bizarre.
Wait, so like you
It's the one that everyone uses to dunk on Elon because of his barrel chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like visualizing that. Ryan Bledsoe said, I'm parked at a Sheetz today. What's your recommendation? I see ads for the new burgers.
Street tacos, my friend. The street tacos are so good.
I do.
Get the street tacos. Also, the pizza's pretty good from there. I got that like in the winter for the first time. It was pretty good. I've never gotten a burger from Sheetz.
Well, people say they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
I miss Sheetz so much.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't get food there that often, but it's just the vibes, you know?
I like the macaroni and cheese bites too.
Yeah.
And I like their fries. I like their seasoned fries.
I think
fries.
I got their chicken nuggets too. Those were good. Burned Oils said, I hate restaurants, but if Mary is good, I'll have a sweet treat. What? But only if she don't put her fingers in my dessert.
Okay. Well, don't put your fingers in anybody's dessert would be the best advice I could give you.
I mean, I didn't know we had plans, sir.
There you go.
Put it out of your mind.
And we've got one more Rumble rant over here from Rudy Gambit. Once again, says, I used to get the 5-pound Hershey chocolate bar when I would travel to Hershey, PA. It usually took a few weeks to eat it all. There you go.
Dang, I miss Hershey Park too. I want to go back there.
All right, guys, before we go, would you all please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram, that is Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X, that is also Mary Archived, and help me get TikTok famous, that is also Mary Archived.
All right, if you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out, so thank you guys so much for that. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. Guys, we will be back. Oh, we got one more here from Shane H. Wilder. Says, apparently turning people into jewelry is common now. They also weren't used to the fact that Catholic funerals are closed casket and held in the church because the funeral mass is to give glory to God.
I heard about people using like IVF embryos to make jewelry. It's disgusting. It's horrifying. I don't understand why people are doing this.
With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see y'all then. Bye. Everybody.